It all happened in the span of 3 minutes. We were just two people in love, sitting on a wooden park bench shaded by sycamore trees. The air smelled of summer, faintly grassy, faintly floral, with that almost magical kind of warmth that only July afternoons carry. My wife, 8 months pregnant, was smiling down at her belly, whispering something to our unborn daughter. Her hand rubbed slow, circular patterns over the baby bump, like she always did when she thought I wasn't looking. That's when we heard her. The voice came from behind the fountain, shrill, aggressive, and strangely theatrical. "Excuse me, you can't sit there. That's my spot." I turned slowly. A woman in her late 40s, platinum hair pulled into a tight bun, sunglasses perched unnecessarily atop her head, stormed toward us like she owned the entire park. Her gait was stiff and controlled, but her eyes were already wild, like she was itching for a confrontation. My first instinct? Defuse. Always defuse. "Ma'am," I said, calm and respectful, "we've been sitting here for a while. It's a public bench." She scoffed. "I always sit here. Every day after yoga. People know that." My wife glanced at me, uneasy, her hand tightening over her belly. I could feel her discomfort radiate like heat. I stood up, half shielding her instinctively. "Look, there are 5 other benches in this park. You're welcome to—" "I don't want other benches," she snapped. "I want this one." I studied her posture. Something about the way she tilted her chin, the way her pupils narrowed, not just entitlement. There was menace there, not just a complaint, a threat in disguise. That's when she lunged. No warning, no build-up, just bam. She grabbed the iced tea cup from our side table and hurled it toward my wife. The liquid splashed across her chest and baby bump. My wife gasped, half in fear, half in instinctive protection of her unborn child, and I barely had time to pull her back before Karen's hand swiped toward her face. Everything inside me snapped. Years of restraint, years of controlling my reactions, years of wearing a polite mask to keep the peace. Gone in an instant. I grabbed Karen's wrist mid-swing. "Don't touch her," I said, low and sharp, my voice suddenly far more military than civilian. That was when the real chaos began. A bystander who'd seen everything had already dialed 911. But what no one realized, what Karen especially didn't realize, was that my name wasn't just Jake Williams, husband and expectant father. It was Major Jake Williams, U.S. Special Forces, retired but still connected. And when my wife's security alert on her smartwatch sent out a silent SOS, a feature I had installed when her pregnancy reached its risky 3rd trimester, it pinged more than just local dispatch. Within seconds, a secure alert system flagged our location. And within 2 minutes, unmarked black SUVs and tactical vans screeched into the park. Children screamed, dogs barked, parents grabbed their kids and scattered across the grass like ants fleeing a fire. Karen turned, startled as armed SWAT officers in full gear sprinted from every direction, guns holstered, but eyes locked and intense. 2 officers tackled a nearby trash can, mistakenly believing she'd tossed something dangerous inside. Another took formation behind the fountain. One, a tall officer with a tactical headset, pointed directly at me. "Major Williams," he called. I nodded once, tight and professional. She assaulted a pregnant woman. My wife. Karen stood frozen. Her mouth flapped open, the corners twitching, her eyes darting to the logos on the vests, then back to me. "Wait, what is this?" I didn't even touch her. But the drenched maternity top said otherwise, and the camera footage from the cafe stand across the path, which I'd already motioned to a SWAT tech, would back every second of it. "I'm just a citizen," she shouted, stepping backward, hands raised. "You're treating me like a criminal." I was defending my space. That's when she made her second mistake. She reached into her purse, fast. 3 rifles were drawn in an instant. "Drop it! Drop it!" She screamed, flinging the bag into the grass. A half-eaten protein bar, makeup kit, and a collapsible umbrella tumbled out. Too late. She'd escalated. The officers advanced, restrained her, and read her rights. Meanwhile, I was holding my wife, checking her pulse and breathing like I'd done 1,000 times in the field. She was shaking but alive. The baby, she whispered, had kicked. But none of that was the shocking part. None of that explained why even the SWAT team leader looked concerned, like something deeper was at play. Because in my pocket, I had a military-issued ID, and tucked behind that ID was a document marked classified, a document that no civilian was supposed to see. And Karen? She had somehow known who I was. This wasn't just about a bench. It wasn't just about entitlement. It was about something else. And what no one knew, not the bystanders, not the local police, not even my wife at that moment, was that Karen picked the wrong couple that day. And she was about to find out why. It's strange the way life slows down when you're on the edge of something beautiful. Before that day in the park, things were simple. My wife, Layla, and I had spent the past few months preparing for our daughter's arrival like every other expectant couple, baby showers, hospital visits, arguments over names, late-night cravings for things we didn't even keep in the house. Layla once woke me at 2:17 a.m., whispering, "Pickles and mangoes." Now, I was up and out the door in under 3 minutes. We lived in a quiet, tree-lined neighborhood in Virginia. Not too rural, not too urban, just the right kind of in-between where people waved from porches and kids still rode their bikes without fear. I had taken an extended leave after retiring from the service, not because I was done with duty, but because something more important had finally come along. Fatherhood. Layla was my entire world. We'd met at a military base hospital where she worked as a trauma nurse. I remember the first time I saw her, covered in blood, exhausted, yet entirely composed as she barked orders during a field emergency. She was fierce and graceful all at once. And I knew even then this was the woman I wanted to raise a family with. Her pregnancy hadn't been easy. The doctors called it high risk, and that label clung to us like fog. Weekly checkups, countless scans, moments of fear, so sharp they sliced through your spine. But Layla, she never flinched. She spoke to our unborn daughter like they shared secrets I wasn't allowed to hear. Every night, she placed a small headphone on her belly and played classical music or Quranic lullabies. We found peace in routines. Our Sunday park visits were one of them. It was our ritual. We'd grab iced tea from a nearby cafe, pick the same bench near the fountain, and just sit, watching the world go by. Children chasing butterflies, joggers making their third lap, dogs playing fetch. It was predictable, safe, exactly what Layla needed. But here's the thing no one tells you about peace: it always comes right before the storm. That week had been particularly emotional. Layla's blood pressure had spiked, and her OBGYN warned her to rest more. She was nervous about giving birth. She'd started organizing baby clothes obsessively, sometimes folding and refolding the same pair of socks 3 or 4 times. I caught her once just staring at the empty crib with tears in her eyes. "I'm scared," she whispered. "What if I'm not enough?" I knelt beside her, held her hands in mine, and said, "You're already more than enough. Our daughter's going to be lucky to have you." She smiled at that, a soft, tired smile, and nodded. I think she already knows my voice. That Sunday, I insisted we go to the park. Fresh air, sunshine, routine. It would do her good. We got dressed slowly, Layla wearing a soft cream dress that fluttered in the breeze, her belly round and proud. I remember helping her slip on her sandals, tying them gently as she laughed and said, "You've become such a softie. Don't tell my old unit." I teased. They'd revoke my medals. We walked hand in hand the entire way, stopping every few feet so she could catch her breath. When we finally reached the bench, she let out a small sigh and leaned back, rubbing her stomach the way she always did. That's when she told me she had a name in mind. "Aaliyah," she said. I paused. "It's beautiful. She'll be strong, just like her name." And just like that, the world faded to silence. A bubble of safety surrounded us. Layla leaned her head on my shoulder, and for the first time in a long while, I felt completely at peace. It should have stayed that way. But fate has a strange sense of timing. Because just as I reached into the bag for her prenatal snack, a voice, sharp, entitled, venom-laced, cut through the serenity like a blade. And we were no longer just expectant parents on a peaceful Sunday stroll. We were targets. But before the chaos, before the tea, before the scream, before the sirens, we were just two people in love, waiting for their daughter, believing they were safe in a world that didn't always play fair. And maybe if things had gone differently, if that woman hadn't shown up, maybe we could have had a day that ended in laughter instead of handcuffs. But she did, and it didn't. It began the way these things often do, not with violence, not with rage, but with a look. Layla and I were mid-conversation, laughing about how our unborn daughter seemed to kick every time I said the word coffee when I felt it eyes on us. Not curious, not casual. Watching. Judging. I turned slightly and saw her. She was standing a few feet away, wearing a lemon yellow workout outfit that looked both expensive and aggressively tight. Her arms were folded, lips pursed. She wasn't trying to hide her displeasure. She wore it like a badge of honor, like she had earned the right to be offended. At first, I thought maybe she was looking at someone else, but her gaze didn't move. It was locked on Layla. I offered her a polite nod. She didn't nod back. Instead, she walked closer, slow, deliberate steps that echoed more arrogance than urgency. When she reached the end of our bench, she stopped, glared at my wife's belly, then tilted her head. "That's my bench," she said flatly. Layla blinked. I'm sorry? I sit here every day. After yoga. It's where I eat my protein bar and decompress. I looked around. There are plenty of other benches. She didn't even glance at them. I like this one. I have a routine. Layla glanced up at me, uncomfortable. I gently put my hand on her shoulder, grounding her, reminding her she didn't have to move just to make a stranger comfortable. "We've been here for a while," I said calmly. "We're not trying to disturb anyone." Her eyes narrowed. "Clearly you are disturbing someone." "Me?" The tension was subtle, at first, like the first vibrations before a quake. She wasn't yelling. She wasn't throwing punches. But the way she leaned in toward my wife, the way she invaded her space without touching her, it was intimidation, plain and simple. "I don't care if she's pregnant," Karen continued, eyes flicking again to Layla's belly. "Pregnancy isn't an excuse to be inconsiderate." That's when I felt my temperature rise. My wife shifted nervously, brushing her hand over her bump. I gave the woman a firm stare. "Ma'am, this is a public bench. My wife is 8 months pregnant. Please take another seat." She laughed, cold, dismissive. "Wow, so entitled. You people think the world owes you just because you're breeding." I froze. Did she just say you people? Layla's face went pale. I could feel her heartbeat quickening just beneath my hand on her shoulder. "Excuse me?" I asked, my tone firmer now. "You heard me," Karen snapped, stepping even closer. "You're just another loud couple who thinks everyone should bow down because she's having a baby. Newsflash, nobody cares." I stood up, not fast, not aggressively, but with quiet authority. Karen flinched just for a second, but quickly covered it with more venom. "Are you threatening me?" she gasped. "Oh my God, you are. You're threatening a woman. In public." Now heads were starting to turn. A family walking their dog paused. A young man with earbuds took one side out. Two teens on scooters stopped near the fountain, watching from a distance. Karen smiled, pleased with the attention. "You see this," she called out. "This man just stood up to intimidate me because I asked politely for my usual bench." Layla tried to speak. "No, that's not what happened," but Karen cut her off. "Oh, so now the pregnant princess gets to cry for sympathy. How cute." Her words cut deep. They weren't just rude, they were designed to provoke. She wanted a scene. She was thirsty for it. And for a second, I almost gave it to her. But then I looked at Layla. Her hands were trembling, her eyes full of unshed tears. She didn't need a husband who exploded. She needed one who protected her without escalating. So I exhaled slowly. "Please step back," I said. "You're making her uncomfortable." Karen didn't. Instead, she took a step forward, and then another. She was now inches from Layla, invading her space like she had every right to it. "What are you going to do?" she said, smirking. "Call your mommy?" Maybe your little soldier husband will fight your battle for you. That was it. That was the moment everything turned. Layla stood, barely, and tried to walk away, tears streaming silently now. I reached to steady her, to help her gather herself. And that's when Karen did the unthinkable. She grabbed the cup of iced tea beside the bench and threw it directly at my wife. The cup struck her chest with a dull slap, tea spilling down her belly, her dress soaking instantly. She gasped, stumbled backward. Everything inside me snapped. I stepped in front of Layla instinctively, shielding her, my hand shooting out to catch Karen's wrist just as she raised it again. "Don't you dare touch her," I said, and my voice dropped into the tone I hadn't used since the battlefield, a tone that froze time. Karen's face contorted. "Let go of me. You can't touch me. I'm calling the cops." She yanked her hand away and backed up, pulling out her phone. She wasn't afraid. She was ecstatic. She thought she had won. That she'd provoked the scene she wanted. That she was about to go viral as a poor, white woman assaulted by scary man. What she didn't know was that the cops were already coming. And they weren't coming for me. Karen's phone was already in her hand, shaking slightly, not from fear, but from anticipation. Her thumb hovered over the screen like she was itching to press record. She didn't want justice. She wanted drama. "You're in so much trouble," she hissed. "You just put your hands on me, in front of witnesses." Around us, a small circle of bystanders had gathered. Not a crowd, not yet, but enough. Enough for Karen to play to her imagined audience. Layla was shivering behind me, soaked in sticky iced tea. Her hand rested protectively over her belly. Her lips were pale, and her breathing came fast and shallow. Not quite hyperventilating, but close. "Jake," she whispered, "the baby, she's not moving." My stomach dropped. That sentence pulled the earth out from under my feet. I turned to her instantly. "What? Are you sure?" She nodded. "She's always active when I'm stressed. She kicks. I don't feel anything." Panic clawed at my ribs, but I didn't let it show. Not yet. Not in front of her. I crouched down, speaking softly. "It's okay. We're going to the hospital right now. You're both going to be okay." But we didn't get the chance to leave, because Karen wasn't done. "She's faking it," she shouted, loud enough for everyone to hear. "It's a stunt. They're trying to make me look like the bad guy." No one said anything. Even the bystanders were starting to realize this wasn't just another park argument. This wasn't two neighbors bickering over shared space. This was something darker. And then she moved. Karen stormed forward with her phone held high, trying to shove it in Layla's face. "Say it to the camera. Say you fake being pregnant." That's when I stepped between them. "Back away," I said, calm, cold, clear. "Now." Karen shoved me. Hard. Not a brush. Not a bump. A full, two-handed shove against my chest. I didn't move an inch. I didn't have to. Because in that moment, something else moved. Behind me, behind all of us. Engines. Fast. Close. For matte black, vehicles screeched to a halt at the edge of the park, kicking up dust and gravel. They weren't police cars. No flashing red and blue lights. No sirens. Just pure silence. And then the doors opened. Men in tactical gear poured out, black helmets, body armor, weapons holstered, but hands ready. One of them had a patch on his vest. Federal Response Division. Karen turned slowly, confused. What the hell is this?" Layla stared, wide-eyed. "Jake, who are they?" I didn't answer, because I recognized one of them. Agent Cole. We had served together once, overseas years ago. He nodded at me, eyes scanning the scene in seconds. His gaze landed on Karen, then on Layla, then on me. He reached for his radio. "We've got the target. Pregnant civilian appears compromised. Escort to medical team immediately." Karen's jaw dropped. "Target? Me? What are you talking about?" Cole raised his voice. "Ma'am, place your phone on the ground. Step away from the woman, and keep your hands where we can see them." Karen didn't comply. Instead, she screamed, "I am a citizen. I am a white woman. I am innocent. He assaulted me." And then As if determined to make it worse, she reached into her purse. The agents reacted instantly. Drop the bag. Karen froze. It's just lip gloss. Drop it now. She dropped it. The bag hit the ground, spilling open. A wallet, a half-used tissue, lip gloss, a small mirror. No weapons, but the damage was done. Two agents moved in, grabbing her arms, restraining her with zip ties before she could twitch again. Karen began to sob, ugly, loud sobs that echoed across the park. You're going to regret this. My husband's a lawyer. I know people. Cole ignored her. He motioned to me. We got the ping. Your wife's medical alert reached our secure channel. You did the right thing. I helped Layla into a seated position. She was pale, her hands trembling. I can't feel her yet, she whispered. Something's wrong. We've got an emergency vehicle en route, Cole said. ETA, 2 minutes. Let's get her off the grass. He turned to another agent. Bring the gurney. Karen screamed, louder. I didn't do anything. Why is nobody listening to me? But no one was listening anymore. Because the moment the first responders arrived, all focus turned to Layla. Paramedics gently helped her onto the stretcher. Monitors were attached, an oxygen mask placed. One of them found a faint heartbeat. Weak, but there. I felt something in my chest finally release. She was alive. The baby was alive. Barely. As they lifted her into the ambulance, I turned back to Karen. She was sitting on the grass now, makeup streaked down her face, muttering to herself. The woman who wanted to be the center of attention had gotten her wish, just not the way she expected. Cole walked up beside me. She's not just a Karen, he said. We ran her ID while en route. 3 prior harassment complaints. 1 active restraining order from a former co-worker. She targets women, especially ones she sees as undeserving. I looked at him stunned. So, this wasn't random? Probably not. Could be triggered by anything: race, pregnancy, status. She fits the profile of someone looking for control. I shook my head. She almost cost us everything. Cole nodded, but she didn't. And now she's done. The ambulance doors slammed shut with a final metallic thud. Inside, Layla was being stabilized, oxygen flowing, vitals monitored, fetal heartbeat gently echoing from the portable monitor. I stood there for a moment, watching the red taillights glow before the vehicle rolled away toward the hospital. Only when it turned the corner did I exhale. She was safe for now, but this wasn't over. Karen sat crumpled on the edge of the sidewalk, zip-tied hands trembling, her phone's screen cracked from when she dropped it. Her eyes darted from one SWAT officer to the next, confusion morphing into something worse. Panic. What is this? She cried. Why is he getting special treatment? Who is he? The answer came not from me, but from Agent Cole. He stepped forward slowly, looking more soldier than lawman now, his vest unzipped halfway to reveal a reinforced plate and a badge clipped to his belt. He's Major Jake Williams, Cole said calmly. Former Tier 1 operator. 3 deployments, 2 Black Ops commendations, and currently on Federal Reserve watchlist protection because of who his wife is. Karen blinked. What? I didn't say a word. Cole continued, You didn't just attack a pregnant woman, Karen. You attacked the wife of someone under quiet observation for national security reasons, which means when she triggered her watch alert, we weren't the only ones who got notified. Karen's face twisted. What the hell does that mean? Cole turned his eyes on me. You want to tell her? I looked at Karen for a long second. She didn't deserve an answer, but maybe she deserved the weight of the truth. My wife, I said slowly, is the daughter of a whistleblower, a man who exposed illegal surveillance activities 5 years ago. He vanished 6 months later. We've been under protective monitoring ever since. Not public, not visible, but real. Karen's jaw dropped. I didn't know, she stammered. How could I have known that? That's the point, I said coldly. You didn't care who we were. You just saw something you didn't like. And you attacked. She shook her head, eyes glossing over. No, I was defending my space. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. It was just, I didn't think. Exactly, Cole snapped. You didn't think. You escalated. And now you're not being charged with just assaulting a civilian, you're being charged under the Homeland Threat Act. Karen gasped, Homeland threat? That's insane. I'm not a terrorist. You're not, I said, but you're dangerous. And sometimes that's enough. More agents arrived, two from DHS, one quietly collecting witness statements, another pulling nearby surveillance footage from the cafe camera. As it turned out, Karen had been following Layla for weeks. She had shown up at our grocery store once, glared at her in the OB clinic lobby. We thought it was just coincidence. It wasn't. I didn't stalk her. Karen barked when confronted. I just kept seeing her around, but her phone told another story. When Cole pulled up the data from her social media check-ins and location tags, it became clear Karen had logged activity near us 7 times in the past month, each one closer, more frequent. I stared at her. Why? Her voice cracked. Because she had everything, she whispered. She had a husband, a baby on the way, a nice house, and I had nothing. My husband left me. My friend stopped inviting me. I was just trying to get back control. Just a little bit. I just wanted her to feel like I mattered. Silence. Even the agents paused, because in that moment we all saw it. This wasn't just a Karen. This was a ticking bomb of loneliness and resentment. But that didn't make her less guilty. It just made her more tragic. Cole gave the order. Take her to holding. She'll be processed at the district HQ. As the agents led her away, Karen screamed, You think this is over? It's never over. She stole my life. The park fell quiet again. Just rustling leaves, a distant lawn mower, a little girl riding her pink bike through the grass, completely unaware that her world almost intersected with chaos. I sat back on the bench, the same one Layla and I had chosen only an hour earlier, back when the world still felt normal. Cole sat beside me. You okay? I nodded. Physically. Mentally, I shrugged. That's another story. He glanced sideways. Do you know how rare this kind of response is? Your wife's watch only pinged us because of your alert tier. And even then, we barely made it in time. I know. You still have enemies, he said bluntly. Maybe not like before, but people connected to your past. Her past. Your father-in-law's legacy. It's not dead. I looked up at the sky. It was blue. Perfectly blue. Birds still flying overhead like nothing had happened. That's why I won't stop watching, I said, because the moment I stop, people like her get too close. Cole stood. Take the next few days. Go dark. Let us handle the rest. Then he paused. And Jake? Yeah. Name your daughter something powerful. I smiled faintly. I already did. The hospital smelled like bleach and air conditioning. I sat beside Layla's bed, still wearing the same shirt soaked from earlier, a reminder of everything we'd just lived through. My hands were clean, but I still felt the stain of that moment, of that woman, of the chaos she brought into our lives like a storm ripping through calm waters. Layla was resting now, eyes closed, her breath even. But I knew she wasn't sleeping. I could feel her fingers twitch every so often, curling slightly, like she was still shielding her stomach from something that wasn't there anymore. A soft knock on the door. A nurse stepped in with a clipboard. Her face carried that warm neutrality that nurses are trained to wear when the news might go either way. How is she? I asked, my voice dry. She offered a small smile. She's stable. So is the baby. I exhaled. She's been through a lot of stress. We want to monitor her for 24 more hours, but right now, the heartbeat is strong. And your daughter seems to be a fighter. Fighter, just like her mother. I stood and walked over to Layla, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Her eyes fluttered open, and she gave me the smallest smile. She okay? She asked. She's okay. Layla blinked quickly, tears welling in her eyes. I was so scared. I thought I lost her. I know, I whispered, kissing her forehead, but she held on, just like you did. The next few hours were a blur of quiet beeps for drips and whispered check-ins. Agents came and went, talking to hospital security, reviewing footage, collecting statements. I stayed at Layla's side, unwilling to leave her again, not even for coffee. By the following morning, the world had started to catch up. Karen's arrest had made the news. Not by name, not yet. But the story had all the ingredients the media couldn't resist: a pregnant woman attacked in a public park, a dramatic SWAT response, and a mysterious military figure at the center. Of course, they didn't know everything. They didn't know about the alert tier, the federal protection, the secrets buried beneath our quiet life. And that's how it needed to stay. The official report filed by Agent Cole stated that Karen Mitchell, 47, unemployed, formerly divorced, had a documented pattern of harassment, and was now being investigated for malicious intent and targeted aggression against a protected civilian. Bail was denied. She was transferred to a secure holding facility after her outburst at the precinct, reportedly threatening another woman in the waiting area who she claimed looked too smug to be innocent. There would be a trial, maybe even a psychiatric evaluation. But none of that really mattered to me anymore, because I wasn't thinking about revenge. I wasn't thinking about charges or headlines or social justice warriors debating our story online. I was thinking about Aaliyah. I was thinking about the moment she'd be born, about her first cry, about holding her against my chest for the very first time. I was thinking about protecting her in a world that seemed to make less sense by the day, a world where strangers could bring hate to a park bench without warning. I thought about the parents who couldn't protect their kids, the ones who never got there in time. I thought about the other Karens walking freely, building up their resentment like pressure in a valve just waiting to blow. And I thought about how close I came to becoming someone else that day. Because the old me, the soldier me, he would have responded differently. He would have snapped. He would have fought fire with fire. But Layla and Aaliyah, they kept me grounded. They made me better. And maybe, just maybe, that's what Karen couldn't stand. The idea that someone like her couldn't break someone like us. Because no matter what she screamed, what she threw, or how she tried to poison the peace we held, we didn't break. Not then. Not now. Later that evening, as Layla finally drifted into real sleep, I stepped outside to the hospital garden, a quiet little courtyard with flowers planted by volunteers and a stone bench beneath a fig tree. I sat there for a while, staring up at the moon. And I made a promise to never let my guard down, to always choose restraint over rage, and to raise my daughter in a way that she'd never have to fear park benches or angry voices or broken people trying to take from her what they could never build for themselves. A promise not just of protection, but of purpose. A week later, Layla and I stood in our daughter's nursery. She had insisted on coming home after her final checkup. Doctors offered to keep her a few more days, but she smiled and said, "I'd rather be home when our daughter kicks for the first time with peace around us." She was right, and that night, Aaliyah kicked, not in fear, not in panic, but gently like a tap from inside the womb, reminding us, "I'm still here. I'm still strong." We both cried, the kind of cry that only comes when you've walked right up to the edge of something terrible and lived to hold each other tighter on the other side. The nursery was quiet, walls painted in soft pastels, a quote written across the crib in gold foil letters: "She is clothed in strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future." That quote means more now than it ever did before. Because here's what this story really is. It's not about a Karen. It's not about entitlement or politics, or even the shock of a SWAT team showing up at a park. It's about protection. About how fast peace can disappear if you don't hold it tight. It's about the unseen battles so many families fight every single day to stay calm, to be kind, to defend the ones they love when the world tries to strip that love away. Karen didn't break us. She revealed us. She revealed who we are when we're scared, who we become when someone threatens our home, our family, our unborn child. And more than anything, she reminded me that being strong doesn't mean being violent. It means standing firm, even when your hands are shaking. It means staying calm, even when everything in your body screams for war. Because real strength isn't how loud you can shout. It's how much you can protect in silence. So, to anyone watching this, if you're a husband, protect her. If you're a wife, trust him. If you're a parent-to-be, stand side by side. And if someone ever tries to steal your peace, don't let them. Not with fists, not with fury, but with something far more terrifying to them: unshakable calm. Because people like that, they want chaos. And when you give them grace, dignity, and silence, you starve their power. If this story moved you, share it. If it made you think differently, comment below. And if you've ever faced anything like this, you're not alone. We're building a community of stories that fight back, not with hate, but with truth. Subscribe to the HOA stories, because not every war is fought on a battlefield. Sometimes it starts at a bench in the park and ends with a daughter kicking softly, reminding you why you stood your ground.